Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and we're going to be doing an unpopular opinions video. In this video, I'm going to be going over some things that I think, some of my opinions that I know or feel are unpopular, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about them. So please like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, let's give a shout to the channel members. You all know the drill. These guys, girls, gentlemen, scholars, and Wombat. They're all fantastic people. I really appreciate every single one of them. If you're ever interested in joining, that link is down below, along with a link to Discord. Go check it out. Thank you guys again for keeping the faith, believing, for everything you do. Y'all are awesome, and I can't have done this channel without you. So let's get in here. Let's cover these unpopular opinions, and I want to see your harsh comments. Like, you guys can go after me in the comment section for this. I am, those are open. Alright, folks, so the first one is Fleet Crystals need to move to Grand Arena. I'm going to scream this from the hills, and I think it's unpopular because a lot of players invest a lot of resources to going after Fleet Arena, but I think they need to move to Grand Arena. And I say this for a couple of reasons. Number one is that Fleet Arena feels a lot like Squad Arena used to when they moved Crystals. Remember, Crystals used to be in Squad Arena. Way back in the day, Crystals were in Squad Arena. And it was very, very different because in a Squad Arena shard, you had a group of, I think it's 10,000, I want to say. Like, when you look at the prizes, I think it was 10,000, right? So you had 10,000 players in a Squad Arena shard. When you go to Fleet Arena, you're looking at only, I think it's more than 500. I think it's 1,000 players per, someone correct me on that. But even if it is just 500, right? It's a much smaller group of players in your Fleet shard comparative to Squad Arena. So it was a lot harder to get consistent crystals in Squad Arena than it was Fleet Arena because of the amount of players, which that's fine, so they moved it, right? But even in Fleet Arena, when you look, one of the biggest problems with Fleet Arena is that, especially now with the way that some of these changes have happened, right? And I guess maybe to say this, in Squad Arena, where it got to was that I wasn't having to stress anymore about climbing because I could climb with the Jedi Master Luke and beat everything in the game. So I think Capital Games wanted to stop that because I was climbing on people with much more invested in their accounts simply because one GL could, beat them. And it's the same thing with Fleet Arena right now. The stupidity of the Leviathan, where it doesn't matter what relic levels you have. If you call out your, Maul's ship, your Scimitar first, you're going to win. Or that punishing one makes Executor beat Leviathan, but that Profundity can't beat it. Like, it's a mess for Fleet Arena. But for Grand Arena, I think it's a great environment. Like, I think the current Fleet environment is amazing for Grand Arena because there's so many unknown variables, so many things that you could do or go wrong, that I actually think for Grand Arena is the perfect time to move the crystals from Fleet Arena to GAC, because I think for Fleet Arena, the whole fleet situation is beyond stupid. But for Grand Arena, I think it's awesome. Because there's a lot of interesting counters that are happening that right now, if you know the counter to the Executor, where they've got Punishing One and Houndstooth starting, so you use the Endurance, or they've got the Triple Attacker, so you use the Negotiator. You could use that, but then somebody in your fleet shard is just going to bump you with one of their ships because you have a weaker fleet in. And so I think the one area with Grand Arena that is nicer is it does give those players who've invested more in fleets and built more of that skill a greater advantage to exercise it. Next, access to Zetas needs to come at a cost. I am all for increasing the access to Zetas. I definitely think that is a problem that is plaguing this game. But I think I need to back up a little bit. I've said for a while that they should just increase the amount you get via challenges. And the more I've sat on that, the more I've realized that I don't think that's the right answer. And I say that because there's a lot of players who are free to play, who don't need Zetas. They've got all the Zetas they need. They get plenty of Zetas. They don't get enough gear. And so I would be okay with the player base, or with, CG, kind of giving out more gear, or giving out more Zetas, but at a cost of giving out to the players who don't need the Zetas additional gear. That maybe it goes into this episode shipment store, right? That you'd come in here, you could start buying Zetas, but that's going to come at the cost of mods, or mod slicing materials, or gear, or whatever else you're buying with this currency. or it goes into the shard shop or something. Like, it needs to go somewhere that will, I'll say, force players to make a decision that potentially will delay some of their progress in other areas. Because if you just start increasing zetas, everybody who bought Lightspeed bundles is just going to shoot up and above everybody else because of how ridiculous some of those zetas can make characters. So I do think access to zetas should be increased, but it does need to come at a cost for the players who need them, and the ones who don't need them should be able to get some benefit out of that location for not needing them. All right, next is 7-dot mods. I've seen a lot of people talk about 7-dot mods and, we should be ready. And the thing is, we're not ready for 7-dot mods. And it's because of the way modding works right now. You don't stop because you get to gold. Most of us, myself, we stop when we hit 5 speed rolls. Once you hit that 5th speed roll, you stop. Or, for me, I don't even touch arrows, beyond getting them to 6-dot. And so that would be a massive change. Going to 7-dot modding would be insane to me, because the way that mods kind of work in this game, if you get your 5 speed rolls, you're not moving on, right? This mod, all right, I would increase that to gold. This mod, I'll increase it to gold. But say, and who's one that has 5 speed rolls? I know I've got some somewhere. Of course, I'm just not finding any right now. Come on, show me speed. There we go, Shin. I'm not going to take this mod up to gold. There's no reason. Not that extra protection and defense isn't nice, but, I'm not going to get speed, so right now that's not worth it. I'd rather upgrade a mod that I can get speed on. So, do you guys follow that logic there? That we're not ready for 7-dot mods because the way that mods work in this game at the moment, it's not about getting them to gold just for stats. It's about getting as much speed as possible, because speed is king in this game. So, I don't think we're ready for 7-dot mods, or at least not rolled out in the way that they rolled out 6-dot mods. You would need to be able to go straight from 6 to 7. And an example here would be, I should be able to, enhance this mod, there's slicing, and then there should be like a 7-dot button or something, and that's why I think we're not ready, because there's also just not enough mod resources in general for your average player. Like, even the largest account in the game, who has every single character Relic 9, which, if you don't believe me, I'm going to show you guys this because it's actually insane. Where's my SWGOH.gg? There we go. So there's SWGOH.gg here, guys. Just take a look at this. This is the largest account in the game, Chiss Empire, right? And if you look, every character here, Relic 9. Everybody Relic 9. Right? Every single character Relic 9, which is just, it's insane. Right? Look at that. Like, all the characters, ships, Zetas, mods, Omicrons. I mean, it's unreal. Look, everybody Relic 9. Right? Just, it's so crazy. But even still, you look at this guy, and I'm going to just click on a couple characters. Even he, on his IG-11, he's got mostly gold mods, but not all of them are gold. Right? Let's pick another one. Jahani. Not all of her mods are gold. Let's keep going to another character here, and I'm just going to, again, I'm not going to pick his, GLs and stuff. Enfys Nest. Not all of her mods are gold. So, even the best account in the game, with everything at Relic 9, still does not have all gold mods. So that to me is proof that you can't really say we're ready for 7-dot mods when even that top player in the game who's got everything else still doesn't have the gold mods that you could say that should be the way to get to 7, if that makes sense. Next, Conquest needs a harder mode. I'm actually going to say it needs 2. I think there's a typo here. I think Conquest needs 2 ticks. Right now there's easy, normal, and hard mode. Now hard mode is gated at 4 million galactic power. So you think that guy, that Chiss Empire account I was just showing you, is over 16 million galactic power. If you are 4 million in your first hard mode Conquest for the first time, you are doing the exact same nodes that he at 16 million is doing. And the argument I'm going to make here is that he has to put in and I'm going to say similar amount of effort, but and I say similar amount of effort with tongue in cheek, because obviously he's got a much different account, but maybe a better way to say this. He and I are going to get the exact same rewards. Now, if he buys the episode pass, but let's say he and I both buy the episode pass, we're going to get the exact same rewards in Conquest, right? Like, I could do everything he's doing in Conquest rewards-wise. If I purchase the same pass as everything else, right? I get the exact same stuff as him. I'm 12 million GP, so okay. But someone at 6 million GP who's able to max out Conquest and does all those things, they're getting the exact same rewards. And that's kind of mind-blowing, that 10 million GP separating two accounts, exact same rewards. I think that's why we need a harder game mode. You need to incentivize some of those top-end players to, I don't want to say care more about Conquest, but you've built this account. We're going to continue to make sure that Conquest is scaling so that way, not necessarily there's a challenge, but that you're getting rewarded for having that larger roster, right? Because we get rewarded in other ways, but not nearly, but Conquest is an area that I think it's lagging behind. And so I think we need some harder modes, and even maybe one that's gated by, say, 10 million, and then one that's gated by, like, you go from 4 to maybe 8 million, and then like 12 million or something, or 10 million, wherever. That you could gate Conquest by these different GP brackets in order to increase the difficulty, right? So I wouldn't hate that. Even if my Conquest would get harder, for extra rewards, it would be worth it. But I think when I look at the game, that's an area that I felt has been lagging behind. Finally, guys, Grand Arena matchmaking skill rating is actually okay. The issue with Grand Arena is the peaks and valleys with your skill rating. They don't allow you to stay at a skill rating for any significant period of time. And that, my friends, is the biggest problem. Let me show you an example. So in my current GAC, right, I won my first round against Alicia Donetta here. Now, they dropped down to 3515 skill rating. I jumped up to 3600. So now you say, oh, well, at the end of this, you'll get your skill rating. But still, my skill rating has jumped up to 3600 for whatever reason. And theirs has dropped. But what if that match was close? Like, they could lose by a point, they could lose by 2000. They're going to drop the same. And the other side of this is that you don't, because you get these peaks and valleys, you never get an accurate view of what your skill rating is, because you don't fight enough people from the same skill rating. Like, I'm going to fight 3 of these accounts. Now, you say at random, but, like, I won the first, your first matchup is completely random, right? You're going to get a random matchup. So, Alicia Donetta here, Donita, whatever you want to say that, and I know that's like a generated name for this game, they lose to me. Everybody who lost here potentially could have beat someone else, but they got paired up with somebody who was better than them, right, in that match. Like this guy, RM Dreamcatcher. I guarantee he and I go head to head, and he probably beats me. I mean, he's got a very good account. He probably beats me head to head, but he faced somebody who was better than him. So I think part of the problem with the GAC matchmaking is so much of your wins and losses are determined based on who you play. And if instead I faced, just say, everybody in this bracket, maybe I get 1 win, maybe I get 3 wins, maybe I get 7 wins, you don't know. And I think that's how I would fix Grand Arena, and maybe I'll do a whole video where I talk about that. I know Egnards did a whole thing where he talked about his stuff, and he had some really interesting points. You guys should check out that video. There was actually some really cool stuff that he was going over. But I think this would be my simple fixes. You could keep a lot of things the same. You just need to fight more people in your skill rating to allow for your true skill rating to show, right? And I think there's ways to accomplish that without having to change too much. And again, maybe that's a whole separate video. So let me know your guys' thoughts on these unpopular opinions. Like, I think a lot of players hate the Grand Arena matchmaking, but as I said, I don't think the premise of it is broken. It's just they don't let you stay or face enough players in that skill rating to show that it's a good system. Again, we're not ready for 7.mods. I don't care what people say. We're nowhere close to it. I'm all for getting more zetas, but I do think it needs to come at a cost for the people who need them. I don't think it should just be handed. And that's, again, come from a lot of reflection and thinking through the game. And then even just adding another difficulty or 2 to Conquest. I feel bad for those guys who've invested a lot in their account, and it means nothing in Conquest, right? And then finally, I do think we need to move Fleet Crystals finally. I think it's time. It's getting silly. Right, it's getting silly. you're allowing people, and I'm going to use this term, that like you're allowing a player like myself who doesn't invest much extra into their fleet climb into first place every day against people who have invested more in their fleets, and I have no chance of losing. That's the problem. So let me know your thoughts down below. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.